All right, since it's 2:05, we'll just go ahead and get this started. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for InHand Network's May webinar. This webinar will be focused along easy and affordable 3G to LTE migration. Essentially, it's a relatively big topic in the connectivity world. That 3G is on its way out the door, and that it's hit that time where people need to start going ahead and migrating to LTE. So we wanted to do a little webinar this month to just kind of touch base on that. The good news is that there's a lot less cost involved in the migration as people were thinking over the last few years. And I'll get into the reasons why. Plus, it's a good, a migration doesn't just involve, buying hardware to upgrade, but also, how you can manage the process of deploying out network equipment, changing settings, dealing with issues of, adding security or making sure security measures are in place. There's a whole process behind it. And of course, the cost is always a resonating thing there. So we're going to kind of touch base on a few of these different points and, how we can help you, rather than just sell you hardware, help you work through the process of doing a successful migration from 3G to LTE. So the agenda, just touch on the background. For those who are not familiar with it, 3G is going away. Also, our LTE router portfolio and, what we've kind of got in the pipeline. We'll do a much more emphasized focus on the InRouter600 series for the CAT1 series, because that's going to be one of your best migration friends in this process. And then, a little bit on the whole pricing side. So we'll start with it. 3G is going away. Just to give you a little background, from the U.S. carriers and shutdown timelines, you can see from the screen, AT&T, they stopped doing 3G activations as far as June last year. Verizon at the end of June, so right around the corner, they're going to stop allowing the activation of 3G devices. And then also they're totally going to kill the network as of December 31st, 2019. And a lot of this is going to be for reallocation of bandwidth, in 4G, for building into 5G. And most of the carriers, the way they see it, because they're launching these CAT1 networks and, CAT M1 and CAT narrowband, they feel they've already taken, necessary procedures to help people migrate so that way they can reallocate bandwidth. In Canada, from the three main carriers, TELUS, Bell, and Rogers, in May of 2017, their CDMA network was shut down, and Bell, their CDMA network shutdown was happening between the 31st of January and June the 1st last year, depending on the region. Rogers, this July, no new GSM and GPRS activations. And then they're projecting at least that the shutdown will be occurring in 2020 at the end. So, all the carriers here for North America, they're migrating away from 3G. They're slowly but surely cutting it down. And for some people out there, or some of their bigger customers, they might, give some type of an extension, but really that just means that they're not going to drop your 3G account. The towers are still going to be going down, the coverage is going to be shrinking, and the places where it's still up and running, it's going to be very unstable connections. So if you happen to be one of those, you probably wish that you had migrated. So the theme of this first segment is don't wait. Now's the time to start upgrading. We've kind of seen the time frames and what people are shutting down, stopping activations. Now's the time to go ahead and get your process and get your plan in place so that way you can begin your migration. So you're not trying to do it all at the last minute and trying to cram everything. It'll save a lot of money, a lot of time. So the big solution for most of us in the M&M world or IoT today is LTE Category 1. I mean, it's the perfect alternative to 3G and 2G. So you're looking at about 10 megabytes per second downlink, 5 megabytes per second uplink. It uses lower power, so for a lot of devices to go out there connecting with batteries, you get longer life. It's lower cost, which is a huge point when we're talking migration. And essentially it's future-proof, at least for the midterm. I mean, LTE isn't going to be going anywhere for the next 10 to 15 years. So it's a good life cycle. And the migration is relatively easy because they already have all the LTE coverage out there. So It's not like when 5G will be launched and you'll just have a few cities that you can gain access. It's already got good coverage. So just, looking at the chart to give you a more realistic aspect of, what's the difference between LTE CAT 1 and 3G and 2G? Well, I already mentioned the numbers, but it's got almost the same speed as 3G, far better than 2G. The uplink rate is much higher than 3 and 2G, and the latency is better. So, overall, it's still an improvement to your 3 and 2G devices. Common applications you'll find, just looking at this chart, you can kind of see CAT 4 is typically a lot of your IoT gateways. It's similar to what's in your cell phone. It's got that higher data range, but really in MDM, you don't really need that for most applications. CAT 1 is more or less what we're focused on right now: digital signage, retail kiosk, ATM, POS systems, alarm panels, terminals, remote automation, video surveillance, not streaming video surveillance, but, being able to access and pull up different information, connected CE devices, enterprise telematics. And the other two is CAT M1, which is, 100 kilobytes per second. It's fairly low. You'll see this on a lot of what they call your wearables, like, the watches that you might, track your steps with, fitness bands, smart watches, very low data flow. And then the CAT MB1, which is, the lowest of the low, 1 kilobyte per second. So not really too relevant to us. So like I said, the perfect choice for MDM and IoT applications is the CAT 1. You get the cost saving by going down from the CAT 3 and 4. And the difference between the CAT 1 and the CAT M isn't really that much. So, it's good to have that extra bandwidth as you need it and as your applications develop. So essentially, it's been deployed to support worldwide. In North America, all the major carriers are providing it, even in Canada. I know Rogers is kind of at the forefront right now, but Bell and TELUS, they're both doing the CAT 1. So, everyone's doing this because of the 3 and 2G shutdown. So let's go into our, CAT 1 portfolio. So as you can see, we have our standard product lines such as the InRouter900 series, InRouter600 series, and the NDTU. All of these we've got on the CAT 3, but the CAT 1 and the 900 series, we have the 901. It's an embedded router. It's made for OEMs to go in there and embed, build, design with full function feature. And then the 600 series, which is recently certified, this is really what's targeting most of the market, where you got, tens of thousands of these ATMs and signage and kiosks and connected machines. And then, of course, we do have a roadmap for 2018 to provide the CAT M1 and so forth. So the InRouter 901 is an embedded router. It's got all the full features of the 900 series. So from the open API for Python, so you can do your edge computing, to your different enterprise grade routing features like RIP and OSPF. You can still set it up to act as a VPN, open VPN server. It's got the same function and feature. If you connected in the interface, you wouldn't know the difference. But obviously, it's an embedded router, so it's much lower cost. It's got a much better compact form factor. It's very easy integration, low cost and ready-made just for those OEMs, and it's already certified Verizon, and it's got the CAT 1. So it's just a good for your higher end applications that you need to migrate, or if you're thinking about doing a new build and design, the 901 is a perfect fit. Now, the InRouter600 series, this is where we've put most of our efforts into CAT 1, because we know that the larger volume of, simple connectivity products out there that need to be migrated, this is where they kind of fall. So in the 600 CAT 1 series, we have the InRouter611 and the InRouter615. We've got them certified on the major carriers. You can go anything from 1 Ethernet to 5. You can get serial 232.45. There's Wi-Fi option. They all support VPNs. They all have integrated firewalls built inside of it with access control lists. Rugged design, wide temperature ranges. They're all EMC rated, so EMC level 2 for the 611, EMC level 3 for the InRouter615. It allows easy management through our InHand cloud, like Device Manager. We have all the certifications on them. It's these are your perfect fits for your ATM, your kiosk, your retail, smart city, industrial automation. And they're very affordable. So unlike our standard, our flagship products like a standalone IR900 series, these are much, much more cost competitive. So now that you've probably got a little bit of an idea of what type of hardware relates to you and what you're going to need. So, the next step is, how are you going to manage all these devices going out? If you have 10,000 ATMs or even 1,000 ATMs, that need to be upgraded and migrated, managing your network is going to be a huge component in the implementation, and then in your first few months with them out in the field. So our device manager allows for you to monitor your networks and your devices, quick diagnosis of network issues, what's online, what's offline, what's my online time, offline time, data consumption, alarming, different group management, so you can have different people looking at their different devices. It reduces a lot of the costs, improves the efficiency because you don't have to physically send people out to everything. You can also do remote configuration changes. So essentially, it's a great tool. It's great when you have a lot of distributed network products out there, and especially with cellular. So you can do, upgrade firmware and batch. You don't have to go through and do them individually. You can remotely configure the InRouter. So if you want to go in and make a local network change, you want to change your Ethernet port's IP address, you can select all your routers and make that change once. So your network guys are going to love it. Monitor network status, conduct trend analysis. So we provide graphs based on online time, offline time, signal strength, your actual data flow, maps to view different device locations so you can actually track your assets. And then you can receive alerts on data usage via email and web notifications. So that way, if devices are using, toward their limit, or more importantly, if there's any type of malicious attack, because you're using cellular, there's going to be an unusual uptick in data consumption because someone will be trying to reach out to that router. And anyway, so this is it's the perfect friend, not just for distributed devices, but also for someone who needs to deploy out a large number of devices to migrate. Also, another thing to take into account, since you're already doing all this and you're putting a lot of new devices out there, this is the perfect time to touch in on security. So cybersecurity today is one of the biggest issues. A lot of people have been using public static IP addresses for years, and hopefully none of you had the experience, but with Mariah and a lot of malware that targets public static addresses, targets cellular devices, gateways, remote access points, security is a big thing to go ahead and start taking care of. And since you're already maybe considering going with InHand to save a bunch of money and get everything up and running on 4G, we have a bunch of different solutions to actually deal with security from an access standpoint and also for protecting your networks. So the two main ones I'm going to bring up just kind of lightly in this discussion is our hosted VPN service, which is personally one of my favorites. I mean, a lot of people don't want to take the time or don't have the money, the capital set aside to go out and hire an IT guy that's, got the certs and the training to do an actual VPN server and pre-configure devices as clients, and then manage the server, maintain it, keep everything up and running, do the troubleshooting. It's an expensive and time-consuming process. But luckily, InHand, we already have the expertise. No one knows the equipment better than us. So we've already built our own hosted VPN server on AWS. And, all you have to do is opt in for it. It's pretty simple. We'll pre-configure the routers. We've already got the server set up. We'll configure everything for you. You just receive the device, plug it in. We can even drop a SIM card in it for you if you like. So, it's as simple as just plug and play, and then you're on your own private network. It's certificate validated. So even if someone was to steal your configurations, your username, your password, it doesn't matter. The certificates are generated by InHand, and then we issue them to each of the users. So, it'll take care of your security and your implementation. Now, this is essentially, we traditionally run the hosted VPN for up to 200 devices. So think small to mid-scale size deployments, and that is flexible. But if you're going to get into something much larger, like thousands of devices, from one customer. We can also do customized NOC VPN. So we can help provide the support, to configure the units. I mean, even to some level, the hardware you would use in your NOC. I mean, we'll be right there along the process with you to help you, get your VPN set up, have your network, distributed, and you don't have to worry about how am I going to plan this out. In InHand, we can do that for you. So we'll just touch a few case studies. I know I've kind of mentioned it, beat the nail on the head a few times, but real common applications and industries that are really getting a lot of buzz on this migration. And some of these things I've just talked about, wireless ATM and POS. There are hundreds of thousands of routers out there that are setting on 2 and 3G right now. And the data flow is only like 100 kilobytes per second. You don't need a massive amount of speed. You're using maybe 5 to 10 megabytes per month in data consumption. So really spending that money for a Cat 4 or a Cat 3 LTE router, it's more than what you need. And we've been doing this quite in scale. Also connected vending machines, telemetry devices, things where you just need to move data. It's 100 kilobytes per second. It's not you're not streaming video. So the Cat 1's a perfect fit. This also relates in with kiosk. I know there's a lot of kiosks out there, whether it's for information or for booking bus tickets or for, I know a lot of restaurants have started getting into the kiosk industry recently, so that way they can have a lot of people ordering at the same time. And, another common one is HVAC controls. So, this a little higher data consumption, but it's still 300 to 500 kilobytes per second. So, I mean, with Cat 1, you're ranging up to, 10 megabytes. So it's more within it. Refrigerant overcharging, undercharging, leakage, coolage. And I would expand this to say even in industrial automation, there's a lot of people who want remote access to OEM equipment, such as refrigerators or different type of controls, where they just want to remote in, fix the problem and get out. It's not using a lot of data. You don't need the higher CAT level of LTE router. And now we'll just jump into some of the part numbers. For the Cat 1 series and the IR611, the FB13 series is what's used for your AT&T, your T-Mobile. The FB23 is for Verizon Cat 1. And then, of course, for the 615, it's the same part number makeup, so FB13 and FB23. I mean, for these product lines, the cost is not a lot. It's actually surprisingly low for industrial grade networking equipment. So that's what brings us into pricing. I mean, essentially the pricing, you're going to be paying about the same, and in some cases less than what you paid for your 3 and 2G devices. So I know a lot of those units out there are already hitting the end of their life cycle. So, shouldn't be any real extra costs going out and above what you would have been paying anyway. And for the customers, with a lot of equipment out there, large numbers, who think, this is going to be a ton of capital up front to implement it in such short timelines. I mean, if you got everything on Verizon, they're shutting the network down at the end of next year. So, I mean, essentially, if you got 10,000 devices and you need to replace all of those, purchase them, receive shipment, configure them, deliver them, install them, and then have their initial, testing and troubleshooting for this first couple of months, that's a lot of money to carry out in just, not even 2 years. So InHand, we do have a 0 upfront cost with 12-month financing plan. Now, this can be case-by-case basis. So if you have 10 routers and you need to implement them within a year, I'm sorry that, probably can't do a financing plan on that. But for these higher number, we can do the financing. We also have data plans available. So overall, we're just kind of here to help you with this migration process. So at this point, I'll just leave a note. If you're under these concerns or you want to go ahead and start your migration process now, feel free to contact InHand, for some testing, some sampling, to just get a feel, see if it's a product you like. I guarantee you will. So at this point, I'll open it up for any questions. You can just go up to the Q&A tab and post any questions you have. No questions? All right. Well, if there's no pending questions, we'll go ahead and close this for today. Like I said, I'd like to thank you again from InHand Networks for attending the webinar today and hearing about the the migration from 3G to 4G. And if I know no one has any questions as of right now, but if you have any other questions that come up later, feel free to call the office number. Get on the chat box on the website, send an email to your local InHand rep or one of our distributors. We're always happy to answer anything you got. And thank you again for attending.